Well, that felt terrible, basically. It's not how I was hoping to feel the day before this race.
We're Sid and Macky, and we're professional mountain bikers on a quest to race the best and most challenging mountain bike races around the world. Just 5 days ago, we finished the final day of BC Bike Race, 7-day cross-country stage race on Vancouver Island. During that week, we raced over 180 miles and climbed more than 25,000 feet. We both ended up with top 10 finishes. But, of course, no rest for the weary, and today Macky will be lining up for the famed Downieville Classic, a tough 2-day race in Northern California with a 29-mile cross-country the first day and a 40-plus minute downhill race the second. It is truly a unique event and one of our favorites. This was one of Macky's goal races for the year, and while we always knew a win would be hard, well, it just got a lot harder.
This men's field is more competitive than Nationals was a week ago.
And it's gonna require a change of strategy.
I don't know, if you're gonna lose big.
We are in Downieville, California. I'm currently parked at the top of the descent. I just dropped Macky off so he could do a pre-ride lap. Obviously, I am not dressed to ride. I decided back in, whenever Downieville announced their dates, that I was not going to race this weekend, and that's for a couple of reasons. In 2019, I raced BC Bike Race and then raced Downieville 2.5 weeks later, and I was not recovered, and it was really rough. I am a very different athlete now. I actually am feeling pretty good. We're now 3.5 days post BC Bike Race, so I think I could have done it, but I didn't want that hanging over my head for all of BCBR. The second reason is I could support. This race is really important to Macky. He wants to do well, and this is a logistically challenging event. The XC starts in Sierra City and ends in Downieville, so that's a drive. The downhill starts here at the top of Pack Your Saddle and ends in Downieville. If you want a pre-ride, you have to shuttle. I think I made the right choice. It's also going to be 102 degrees on Saturday for the cross country, so that's going to be a little rough, and I am okay with not doing that.
Went to do my openers, and yeah, I hit my numbers, but I had to work really hard to do so. My legs just felt like they were, like there was pressure in them, and they hurt. Yeah, it's not how I was hoping to feel the day before this race.
You're really sweaty.
I'm really sweaty. It's hot out there, which probably didn't help.
I don't think anything you just described precludes you having a good race tomorrow. You just don't know.
Yeah.
I think the schedule was always a bit of a gamble.
I'm not trying to doom and gloom, but man, my legs felt terrible.
Why don't you elevate your legs and do some recovery breathing? At the beginning of this year, I very publicly stated a goal of winning Downieville this year. I'm not saying that's not possible, but Circumstances have slightly changed.
Circumstances have changed a little bit. Looked at the registered riders list recently, and this is the most competitive Downieville, certainly that I've ever attended.
Not just the usual suspects.
No.
I would say this men's field is more competitive than Nationals was a week ago.
National champs.
Yeah, because neither Keegan or Cole Patton raced Nationals. And now you have both of them, and Chris Blevins.
Who's a World Cup racer.
And a former world champion.
I know Pete Stetna's here, Jeff Kabush, who's won Downieville multiple times, Steven, who's the reigning Downieville champion from 2019. It's a real field. There are lots of really fast people in the US right now, which is really cool. Some of them
All of them decided to show up this weekend.
Before we get any deeper into why we changed up the strategy for this weekend, I want to explain how this event works, because it's a little different than the other stage races we have done this year. Instead of using cumulative time, Downieville awards points for both the cross-country and the downhill, with the downhill being the tiebreaker. This is because if it was just time, the cross-country would be way more important because it's so much longer. The point system allows descending skills to be a bigger factor in the overall result than they typically are in a cross-country race. And from the beginning, Macky's goal has been to do as well as possible in the overall all-mountain result, not in one particular day.
I could play it safe, run fairly heavy tires, since Downieville is known for flattening tires.
Which was kind of your original plan.
That was my
like
original
a week
plan.
ago, because
Yes.
it was like, this race is really important to you. You want to get the best result possible. You don't want to flat.
But then looked at the start list and basically was like, if I want any chance of doing well, I might have to take some risks, both in terms of like pushing myself really hard and risking cracking, but also risks in terms of equipment choice. I was planning to run 60 TPI recon races, so like the tougher casing Maxxis recon race. For all of BC Bike Race last week, I raced the Maxxis Aspen 2.4s, which are 120 TPI tire. They were awesome, loved how they rode. They're a little bit lighter, they're a little bit faster rolling, but they're a lighter casing. They're 120 TPI casing. So I was like, ooh, is it worth risking that, I guess? And ultimately I decided, yeah.
Sort of originally when Macky was thinking about this race, the strategy was very clearly have a good XC result, which might be like 4th or 5th, and then
Hopefully.
say like win the downhill.
And hope that those two combined would win the all mountain.
What we realized looking at this current start list is that that's not viable, because that XC field is deep enough that if you don't have a good day on the XC, you're looking at like 9th or 10th, not like 4th or 5th.
5th, yeah.
You can't really afford to save anything for the downhill. And like, you rode the downhill on the Aspens, it's possible. All the crabs in one bucket.
All the crabs in one bucket. I like that.
I don't know, if you're gonna lose, like, lose big.
I woke up so nervous this morning. Like, I felt like I had a fever. I was like, I was very nervous.
I don't think you have a fever.
Okay, that's good. But now that we are here and I like pedaled over and got my number plate and stuff, I'm feeling better. Still pretty nervous, but I'm very happy that my bike weighs 11.9 kg compared to the guy who is in line behind me whose bike weighs 16 kg.
You got this. He has ice cubes in his jersey. It's not a weird gross or something. And this is Sadie. Yes, you're so cute. You're so cute. The internet will love you. Race dog.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go!
One of the things that makes the Downieville cross country unique is that it's a point-to-point race, starting in Sierra City and ending in Downieville. During the 28-mile course, we'll climb 3,700 feet and descend just over 5,000. The course is known to be one of the hardest, with a long exposed double-track climb followed by rough, rocky single-track both uphill and down.
Well, y'all, this is why as support crew you arrive early, because the road is closed and I didn't bring my bike, and now it's gonna be a mile and like 800 feet straight uphill, so not feeling great about that. A couple people have blown by, but I am on a time frame where if I get up there and they make me come back down here, I will miss him. So I think I have to walk.
Thanks, man. The race started off fast, and I quickly found myself sitting in the low teens position-wise, which was definitely farther back than I wanted to be. But since I'd done this race before, I knew the climb was long and hot, and guessed that some people would struggle to hold the pace. I also knew I'd be able to make time on the descent, but not if I overdid it on the climb. Yeah, buddy, keep it up.
Alright, we're hoofing it. We are not happy. Power walking straight up a mountain.
Now seems like a great time to thank the sponsor of this video, Shox headphones, because if you have to power walk straight up a mountain, it's definitely good to have some tunes. Bone conduction headphones mean you can ride, walk, race, etc. and still be safe and aware of what's going on around you. Shox is having a sale with 20% off on Open Run and Open Run Pro starting August 28th and going through September 4th. You can get early access to that sale price right now using code Sid and Macky via the link in the description. US only. Okay, back to the video.
I hitched a ride. I was just about hitting the point where I'd said if I wasn't there yet, I was gonna have to start running. Very nice guy named Will in a pickup truck picked me up. So then there was just mass confusion at the top. But now I think we're doing okay.
When we got on this dirt road, Jeff, Michael, and I took turns pulling so we could all get a bit of recovery before going into the final single track climb to the high point.
Successful handoff despite the stress going into it. I think he was in 8th. I don't know, honestly. He was with Kabush and another guy who I don't know. So we'll see how that plays out on the descent. That's not obviously like not where he'd like to be, but I think, I don't know, climb with Kabush on that climb is definitely a big deal. And since I think, you know, when he was originally setting goals, like that's kind of who he thought he had to beat. So given that calculation, he's like right there. He looked bad, I will say. Usually he looks totally fine, but he looked bad, and I think in some ways that's a good thing, because like he will be happy with this race if he like
left it all out there. That's, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So I think he was doing that. He looked miserable. Pretty okay with my decision to not do that. People are just coming in soaked in sweat. I don't know, not many smiles going through that aid station.
Or it widens up right here if I can. Thanks, man.
At this point, I realized I had to back it down a bit. I had been right at my limit for the past hour and knew if I didn't back off and recover, I would crack and end up losing even more time. So I backed off just a little and let the two guys I'd been with, Jeff and Michael, get a gap. Once I'd recovered though, I started pushing and caught and passed Michael shortly before the descent started. I worked hard on the descent, trying to go as fast as possible while being conscious of my equipment choice and choosing smooth, fast lines.
This descent is making me wish I had done more park days, because it's murder on the hands. Come on, Macky. You know just how far out there. Whoa. I've never seen it that deep, that's for sure. Okay, Macky, climb, climb, climb.
It was at this point that I saw Jeff Kabush ahead of me and put in a huge effort to try and catch him. Unfortunately, he looked back and saw me and went just hard enough to stay ahead through the finish line.
Mr. Kabush coming across the line there as well.
Thank you.
Sure, dudes. You guys going again tomorrow?
Yeah.
You too? Okay. Feeling okay?
Good job, guys.
Wow, they've upgraded the
Yeah, looks pretty good.
How you feeling?
Hot. Excited to get in the river.
Time for the best part of Downieville.
Congrats on their results.
Thank you. I'm really happy. Bye, Macky.
That went a lot better than I thought it was going to. Based on how I felt yesterday doing my opener intervals, how I felt this morning, I was worried that it was going to be really bad. And it was hard. It was hot. But I had a pretty good day. I had about as good a day as I could have asked for. I ended up 7th. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens tomorrow because there are some fast descenders who were not towards the front, who I suspect are going to really push it tomorrow. Because it's a point system and the downhill is the tiebreaker, really anything could happen. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all shakes out, but I'm just really happy with how today went, and it was a very useful reminder to me that how you feel in your openers, even how you feel the morning of a race, doesn't have to determine how that race goes for you.
Check back next week to see how Macky and his tires fare on the notoriously rugged, equipment-munching Downieville downhill. It's going to be a day to remember for sure.